College football is a wild ride, and Week 7 of the 2025 season was no exception, with a ton of top 25 clashes. The picture at the top is getting clearer, but some huge upsets could throw everything into chaos. Get ready for some major shakeups in the AP poll. We're diving deep into the projected rankings, analyzing the key games, and highlighting the teams that are rising and falling. Buckle up, because some of these predictions might surprise you. There were about 6 head-to-head battles between ranked teams this past Saturday. This gave us some truly exciting football to watch. While there were a few upsets, it wasn't as crazy as some weeks we've seen this year. But here's where it gets controversial. Were some of these upsets actually teams finally showing their true colors? It's a lot to process, so let's break down how the AP Top 25 could look after Week 7. 1. Game number 1. Ohio State Buckeyes 6-0. Result: 34-16 win at Illinois. Ohio State came out firing against Illinois, building a commanding 20-0 lead. Illinois fought back, cutting the lead in half, but the Buckeyes slammed the door shut with a strong finish. Ryan Day's team has passed every test so far, though some might argue their schedule hasn't been that tough. And this is the part most people miss. Is Ohio State truly tested, or are they just beating up on weaker competition? A showdown with a desperate Penn State team looms in 3 weeks, and that game will be a real measuring stick. Maybe. 2. Miami Hurricanes 5-0. Result: bye. Miami enjoyed a bye week after a hard-fought road victory against Florida State. But here's the rub. Florida State has since lost 3 straight, which diminishes Miami's win a bit. Still, a win is a win, right? They can only play the opponents on their schedule. The Hurricanes are making a strong case for being the most complete team in the nation, particularly on the line of scrimmage. If they can dominate the trenches, they could be unstoppable. Are the Hurricanes truly the most complete team, or are other teams simply overlooking key weaknesses? 3. Texas A&M Aggies 6-0. Result: 34-17 win versus Florida. Texas A&M controlled their game against Florida almost from the opening kickoff, securing another impressive conference win for Coach Mike Elko. The Aggies seem to be improving week after week, which is a hallmark of a top-tier team. That's what legitimate top 25 teams do, and Texas A&M is very much legitimate at this point. Maybe even one of the favorites to win it all. Can Texas A&M keep this momentum going against tougher opponents down the line? 4. Ole Miss Rebels 6-0. Result: 24-21 win versus Washington State. Ole Miss was heavily favored against Washington State, but the Cougars gave them all they could handle. Washington State even held the lead at times, making the Rebels sweat. Trinidad Chambliss stepped up when it mattered most, and Ole Miss managed to hold on for the win. But was this a sign of weakness for Ole Miss, or just a case of overlooking a tough opponent? Should they be ranked this high after such a narrow victory? 5. Indiana Hoosiers 6-0. Result: 30-20 win at Oregon. Indiana needed a statement win, and they got one in a big way, going into Eugene and taking down Oregon. It wasn't a perfect game for the Hoosiers, which makes the win even more impressive. It was simply a dominant performance by a solid team. Are the Hoosiers for real, or was this a one-off performance against an overrated Oregon team? This is a crucial question for their ranking. 6. Alabama Crimson Tide 5-1. Result: 27-24 win at Missouri. Alabama knew they'd face a tough challenge on the road against a ranked Missouri team, and that's exactly what they got. The Crimson Tide led for most of the game, but were pushed to the brink until a late interception sealed the victory. The resume for Alabama is looking excellent at this point, with 3 straight wins over ranked opponents. The loss to Florida State is looking a bit more suspect, but that won't matter as the Crimson Tide keep taking care of business. Does Alabama deserve to be above teams with undefeated records, considering their earlier loss? That's a debate worth having. 7. Texas Tech Red Raiders 6-0. Result: 42-17 win versus Kansas. Texas Tech jumped out to an early lead against Kansas and never looked back. The Red Raiders dominated on both sides of the line of scrimmage, racking up over 300 rushing yards, led by Cameron Dickey's monster performance. Up next, a road trip to take on a top 25 Arizona State team. Are the Red Raiders a legitimate contender in their conference, or are they benefiting from a weaker schedule? 8. Oregon Ducks, 5-1. Result, 30-20 loss versus Indiana. For the first time this season, Oregon faced a team that matched their physicality. Indiana asserted itself early, and Oregon's offense struggled, generating just 267 total yards. Quarterback Dante Moore threw 2 interceptions, compounding the problems. Oregon has no remaining top 25 teams left on the schedule, so everything is still in front of it. Will Oregon be able to bounce back from this loss and regain their momentum? 9. Georgia Bulldogs, 5-1. Result, 20-10 win at Auburn. Georgia's offense sputtered for much of the first half against Auburn, and they nearly fell behind 17-0 until a controversial fumble call went their way. From there, Kirby Smart's squad clamped down on defense and secured a crucial road win. Now, they face undefeated Ole Miss in a game that could determine the SEC pecking order. How much did the controversial call influence the outcome of this game? Some might say it completely changed the game's momentum. 10. LSU Tigers, 5-1. Result, 2010 win versus South Carolina. LSU hasn't consistently looked like a dominant team, and Saturday's game against South Carolina was more of the same. Quarterback Garrett Nussmeier threw 2 interceptions, but also passed for 254 yards and 2 touchdowns. LSU's schedule is about to get much tougher, with gains against ranked Vanderbilt, Texas A&M, and Alabama on the horizon. Can LSU clean up its mistakes before facing these tough opponents? Rest of the AP Top 25 projections: Tennessee Volunteers, 5-1. Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, 6-0. Oklahoma Sooners, 5-1. Notre Dame Fighting Irish, 4-2. BYU Cougars, 6-0. Missouri Tigers, 5-1. Virginia Cavaliers, 5-1. Vanderbilt Commodores, 5-1. Memphis Tigers, 6-0. USF Bulls, 5-1. Texas Longhorns, 4-2. USC Trojans, 5-1. Michigan Wolverines, 4-2. Utah Utes, 5-1. Cincinnati Bearcats, 5-1. What do you think of these projections? Are there any teams that are ranked too high or too low? Which teams are being overlooked? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.